Welcome, everyone, to Mind Model Mastery Secrets. My name is Ashley, and I'm here with Blair. And today we're really going to be talking about being stuck and living in your story. So, a lot of us will experience really hard, painful pasts, or have gone through traumas, or just have a lot of fear or anxiety for one reason or another. And so, we wanted to talk about what that looks like what it's like to live in that and really have a story around that. And then also give some techniques. Like, one of my favorite techniques that Blair has walked me through is a breathing technique that's very unique and it's really simple, probably the most simple one I've ever seen people do, and it's very, very effective. So we really wanted to get deep into those things that really hold us in that anxiety, that hopelessness, that depression, that overwhelm. Because when people are having that full-fledged anxiety attack, like they're in the pits of despair, like it really is so hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we wanted to talk about what that looks like and then some really simple ways to be able to get out of that. And we're kind of piggybacking off of the Blair Dunkley Experience that is every Tuesday live and recorded on the Blair Dunkley Experience, and I'll have that linked below. And so we're piggybacking off of that of how to keep yourself from that place, but we wanted to talk about it a little bit deeper of what it's like to really be in that pit and how you can get out of it.
Mm, great. Yeah, it was episode 364. By
Yes.
the way, if you take 7 years, which is 52 weeks, and times that by seven, that equals 364.
Hmm.
And that was my seventh year of doing the Blair Dunkley Experience
Yeah.
on Tuesday evenings. So,
That's awesome. And
yep.
seven, as we've talked about on this podcast, is a special number.
Yeah, it is.
So, let's kind of dive into a little bit of like what people feel. And the Blair Dunkley experience was specifically talking about why and question concepts. We haven't got too much into that in our podcast, so that will have to be a later podcast. We won't dive into that too much today. But when we are in those pits of despair, overwhelm, having a full-fledged anxiety attack, we are in a why hole or a why loop, a limbic loop, however you want to call it, and really stuck in usually a past story. I know there's a little bit of sometimes it can be like future fear, but it usually is a past story.
Yeah. Well, I just want to build on that because a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, sometimes people have their, what I refer to as a past future loop.
Mm,
And that past future loop is based on why they take their past, they project that fa past into the future, thinking that's what it's going to be. And then they terrorize themselves with it.
yeah. Well, and there's like some reasonability to that where it's like, well, if this is how it's always been, like that's the external evidence, so that's what I can keep on expecting. So there's a
Well, 2 seconds. Let me break that one right down. This, like right there, when you say this is how it's always been,
yeah.
people say that, but what they're doing is that they're generalizing this is
Mhm.
how it's always been.
Yeah.
And when I question them on that in detail, that's not how it's always been.
Right.
That's how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, you start getting chinks in the armor
Mhm.
because you don't use what I refer to as weasel words, like always, never, ever, or, the words that sort of claim your brain and
Mhm.
say, oh, this is the totality of what's going on.
Yeah.
That's not it. And you're using generalizations rather than being specific. And
Mhm.
when you are specific, you start recognizing, oh, yes, it did happen. But am I in there right now? Well, a little bit. It's
Yeah.
not as bad as it was before. And actually, if I think about it, I could find a way out of this one. Like, what might I actually do differently as a takeaway from where I was to where I am now?
Yeah.
What's different? What
Yeah.
can I leverage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so I just want to kind of be relatable, I guess, to other
yeah,
people watching.
absolutely.
As it's easy to go there and be like, this is what it's been. So this is what it's going to keep being. And we are taught to do that in evaluation of looking for external evidence. But the big key factor is a lot of times when we're in that limbic loop, when we're in the why hole, when we are having that anxiety attack, we don't feel like we are in control. And
Totally.
that is the big difference is your emotions are managing you. And so you're not managing your emotions. And when you're able to really manage your emotions, then you're able to realize that you create your life and you can start doing some of the mind model action steps to create massive changes. As we talked about, probably our third podcast that I have posted, where Tim and Becky lost their daughters in a tragic accident. And if anyone has a reason to have a why hole, it would be them, in my opinion.
No kidding.
And they've been able to create this wonderful life outside of that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit on the Blair Dunkley experience, and I know I am someone that has had anxiety attacks in my life. And so, what is something like? How would you describe that? Like when that person is in that place, like I liked how you described it on the Blair Dunkley experience. Do you want to kind of break that down of what that person is feeling or in that really big depression and how they can kind of create a stop because that's the big thing is that it's you're kind of spiraling and
Right.
there's no way to stop. So
Well, what I was thinking of when you said that is, would it be helpful if I went through um, how we, how our brain functions, sort of, in some cases, sort of a neuroscience basis, and that it locks us up so
yeah,
that we have a very difficult time. Like this is worst case scenario practically,
yeah,
without passing out, without doing anything dramatic.
yeah,
But this is still fairly dramatic.
yeah,
And it's referred to, well, your limbic system, which is your amygdala, your all of your emotional center of your brain and how that all plays together. All of that comes together. And what happens is you're in a bit of internal fight or flight and you're self-terrorizing.
hmm,
And all you seem to be able to think about is the terror of the scenario.
yeah,
So very little planning, very little moving forward, if any,
hmm,
is going on.
yeah,
Well, that literally creates what's referred to as limbic loop brownout,
yeah,
where your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of your brain, the reasoning part of your brain, literally is not getting enough oxygen through
mm,
the spinal fluid. It's there because there's shunts in different parts of your brain that can control how much what energy goes where.
hmm,
And that's when you're in that internal fight or flight and you don't think clearly at that moment.
yeah,
So your prefrontal cortex is not able to get engaged.
yeah,
So we've got to have a strategy or two or three
hmm,
to break out of this.
hmm,
And so one of the ones, one of the recent ones that I used with you was a modified, well, I don't want to say it's exactly a breathing exercise, but it changes breath pace.
yeah,
But it's a counting exercise.
yeah,
See, your brain is in its past
yes,
and in all kinds of emotion. And then it's taking that past, projecting it into the future in your brain and going, "Oh my God, this is never going to change. This is going to be where it is forever. This is my life from now to eternity,"
yeah,
which likely isn't true,
hmm,
but yet it's things that just doesn't align
hmm,
with where you're at. So how do you pull it out? How do
yeah,
you get yourself to where you need to be?
yeah.
Well, yeah.
I was just gonna say, because like you said, like you're terrorizing yourself. Like
Yeah.
you literally are in this like really awful place when that's happening. And it doesn't have to come from a really awful thing either, which
No.
is what is really crazy about it. Because once you step out of it, you're like, whoa, like how did that happen? But yeah,
I mean, I've seen people like break down into tears,
yeah,
literally sobbing, you
yeah,
know, absolutely convinced that this can't change.
yeah,
Not only won't change, but can't. In
yeah,
other words, you're locked in.
yeah, for
I
sure.
go, wow.
Yeah.
That's what the brain can do. That is, an indication of a prefrontal brownout where they're not getting enough things, so they can't think effectively. The oxygen level, the energy that's going here is not here. It's going back into the fight or flight area. So it does go midbrain because that's fight or flight as well, because you've got your um, uh, motor cortex here. And so the motor cortex is prepped to do action. Well, one of the actions that it'll do is freeze.
Hmm.
Now, you'll be hyper alert, looking around, trying to figure out where the threat comes from.
Yeah.
So we can start using some of these behaviors against it so we can break out of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, this one is something I see as a little kid, I used to get night terrors.
Hmm.
And not just nightmares, but night terrors,
Yeah.
and completely freaked out.
Yeah.
One of the things that my mom did is she came in, like I was about 4 years old at the time, and I'm crying and whatnot. Um, you know, so she would comfort me the best way she knew how, just doing that.
Yeah.
And then she would sort of let me sit beside her,
Hmm.
um, not usually even an arm around me at that time, just so that she knew that I was in control of me. Like she hugged me, she cuddled me, she took care of me, she comforted me, but she got me back sort of to the point about being okay.
Yeah.
Now, she asked me, Blair, are you okay right now? And sometimes I go, yeah, yes, like that. And she said,
Yeah.
no, right now, this second. And I'd sort of have to collect myself and sort of go, yes, Mom, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then she'd say, Blair, I want you to count to three.
Hmm.
And count to three out loud. And I'd go one, two, three.
Hmm.
Occasionally, if the night terrors were really vivid and, she'd ask me to look around my bedroom and see if there was anything in the bedroom
Yeah.
that was going to get to me or anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I go, well, I'd look around, and then she said, well, now count to five.
Hmm.
And so I'd look around and then I'd count out loud, one, two, three, four, five.
Hmm.
And she'd
You would
usually
count
say,
slower than that. Like when you've walked me through the exercise, you
that's right.
came through
That
significantly slower than that.
that's exactly what she had me do next time.
Yeah. Okay.
Was actually count slower. She said,
Mhm.
Blair, you got to count slower and you have to breathe between each count.
Yeah.
So look around and count. One, two, looking around. Three, four, five. That would get me down, calm me down a whole lot.
Yeah.
Now,
So I'm just
that was
going
back
to interrupt
then.
you for 2 seconds. Just
Sure.
for some people, they won't have video. So for the people that didn't have video, as Blair was going through this exercise, he was breathing in through his nose and then breathing out. He was looking around his space. And basically, it's like, am I safe in this space? What are my surroundings? And so that's kind of what you were modeling. But for those that can't see, I just wanted to paint the picture.
Great. No, perfect. Thank you. Do that every time.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing that I would say is that there is an exact neurologically, neuroscience based
Hmm.
way to rapidly soothe yourself, like decompress yourself.
Yeah.
Now, counting works. And frankly, the neurological one, it's great if it's not too intense,
Yeah.
but it's a fast way to bring yourself down if it's not over the top, if you're not like crying like crazy and locked in and everything else. By the way, keep on doing that counting slowly, like three, five. Then you can go 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. And by that time, you should be okay.
Yeah.
I haven't had to walk anybody over 20 ever.
Okay.
But the other one is if it's not quite so intense, the neuroscience backed one is this. So you want to breathe in through your nose deeply. So I'm going to sit up properly here.
Mhm.
Okay, so you breathe in through your nose deeply. And what you do when you breathe in through your nose as deep as you can to fill your lungs completely, then at that point, suck in a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. And then let it go slowly out of your mouth
Yeah.
until your lungs are completely emptied.
Mm.
And well, I've done this, and it only takes a maximum of two to bring you down from these medium-ish issues. The counting works better for even larger issues,
Yeah.
but this one is neuroscience backed.
Yeah.
And so it really is a very valuable one. So just to role model it here, breathe in through your nose, fill the lungs completely, and now suck in a little more. Let it out through your mouth. Okay. And
And
you want to push that last little bit out.
yeah.
And so you do that. Then repeat it again.
Yeah. Well, so I've been looking into breathing exercises, and so it's interesting doing that with you because I do not have the lung capacity to keep up with you. And I've heard two things. Well, sorry, I believed one thing. So I collapsed my lungs in my accident. So I've always believed I just haven't worked on it well enough to get my lungs, that muscle working well. But I've recently heard that that is a sign that you're in fight or flight. If you don't
Mhm.
have a very good lung capacity, it's showing that your body's like clenched with that fear. So,
You're right. So one of the things that I would suggest doing is practicing deep breathing for you so that you can expand that when you need to.
yeah.
The other thing is that's also part of the thinking behind the counting exercise
Mm.
because you don't have to do the deep breathing, but
Yeah.
you do have to breathe each time.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're doing physiologically, we're changing state
Yeah.
by taking breaths.
Hmm.
Now, looking around, moving your head back and forth actually helps the brain change hemispheres. So
Mm-hmm.
processing through different hemispheres. It also is processing with visual,
Yeah.
auditory, hearing,
Yeah.
and kinesthetic felt senses of what's going on.
Yeah.
Using the motor cortex to turn your head back and forth and look at things, which actually activates that part, which then tells your brain that you're burning some of the adrenaline off a little bit at a time here, but you're checking out your environment.
Yeah.
And you've got to think about checking out your environment to
Mhm.
prove to yourself. And don't buy your own bullshit because the bullshit is, I'm safe. I don't have to look around.
Yeah.
No, bullshit. You got to look around, especially then,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that you know you know.
Yeah.
Not that you're trying to convince yourself, because how many times have you conned yourself in the past? And your brain knows.
Yeah.
But when you actually look around and go, yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm okay right now.
Hmm.
Those are the things that start shifting the brain,
Hmm.
the thing that trapped you,
Yeah.
into the thing that will release you because you're not trying to convince yourself of anything.
Hmm.
You're proving it by making these things externally verifiable.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal
Yeah.
because it's not your opinion. And
Hmm.
when you say, no, I'm fine, that's an opinion, you're fine.
Yeah.
That's not figuring out, oh, right, I actually am fine. Like it's a completely different level.
Yeah.
And you've looked around, you've checked it out, it will feel different. And people, I would also attest to this. I frequently feel when I don't try and con myself, I look around and I go, yeah, I am. I sort of get a little tingle. in the back of my back and up my spine into my head where it feels like, right, I
Mhm.
am fine.
Yeah,
It's not like, oh, this is at risk. It's that relaxation is starting to come in.
yeah,
And that's the important piece. Then you continue anyway,
yeah,
because the brain is going to try and keep it stuck.
yeah,
How come? These are habituated models.
for sure.
The brain doesn't want to do the work. It
Yeah,
wants to escape. It wants to con itself, wants to con you into buying into the fact, no, I don't need to do that. I know it's fine. And then you go, well, am I really? It's like, the whole thing is go back when you were a kid. And I don't know if you ever had monsters under your bed.
oh yeah, not night terrors though, but yeah, that's
No,
what.
no, but monsters, dreams, and did your was it ever where your mom and dad actually checked it out first and then asked you to crawl out of bed and check under the bed?
Not that I remember. I remember just going and crawling into their bed.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, my parents actually
Yeah.
would have me, they'd check it out and go, no, all clear.
Yeah.
And then and my dad especially would say, Blair, come on down, let's check it out together. So
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's so my brain knows it's all clear.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Hmm.
And then we'd go over to the closet and check that out too.
Yeah.
So, these are all critical pieces.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and so these things change us internally because we are literally starting to confront ineffective wiring in our brain
Hmm.
and stop ourselves from freaking out uncontrollably, literally uncontrollably,
Yeah.
to the point of, oh, what can I do to get me back in control of me so I don't have a brownout?
Hmm.
Now, I just said that, and what can I do to get me in control of me? Well, one of the critical things after that counting,
Yeah.
you can go, oh, can I get curious?
Hmm.
And the word that I researched and found only one, see, when you're in your emotions control everything, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like that was came up pretty fast. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it sounds like you've had some practice with this. So
Yeah, like I said, they're managing you.
yeah, they are. They
Yeah.
really are. So how do you flip the script?
Yeah.
You know, you flip the script by using one of the words that are back in the back of your brain. Like the felt sense word
Hmm.
is curiosity.
Yeah.
And you don't think curiosity.
Yeah.
You feel curiosity. You
Mhm.
feel curious. You don't think curious, you feel curious. And by the way, that's how you can discern a thinking word, and it's in different parts of your brain,
Yeah.
and a feeling word.
Yeah.
Now, you can be curious,
Yeah.
but you don't think curious.
Hmm.
But the funny thing is, curiosity goes from the limbic system into the prefrontal cortex
Yeah.
and causes you to start oxygenating, opening up that system so it utilizes the prefrontal cortex so that it actually starts working differently.
Yeah.
And you start opening up and flipping the switch so that you don't have a brownout.
Hmm.
And literally, you can check out cognitive brownouts
Yeah.
in online. You can look those up, and they give great descriptions of literally the detail of how that works, so that you start understanding. Oh, they don't actually tell you how to manage them,
Hmm.
but just that they're there and that you need counseling. Well, I'm here to tell you, well, yeah, maybe, maybe not. You
Yeah.
have to change how you think, which
Yeah.
is true. But the main one, the most important one, is to just put the word curiosity into your brain and then ask yourself some questions
For sure.
with a sense of curiosity.
Yeah.
And the number one question that I go to all the time for myself, with others, whatever,
Yeah.
is what might I do
Hmm.
now?
Yeah.
Or the pivot to that one is what might I do differently
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, if I put the word differently in, I can't do it the way that I did it before.
Yeah.
My brain is now looking for a different way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that gets me out of where I was.
For sure. And I think that the powerful thing about everything that you've talked about today is they're simple, they're easy. Like they're
Yes.
not like you don't have to pay someone hundreds of dollars for counseling. You really truly can take control and manage your life with, I think you've walked us through four different exercises that are so simple and so powerful. So,
Well,
um,
that's what the mind models do. And they were tested so
mhm,
that we worked with people back at Life Skills College in the day. We had over 1,000 students. 800 of our students were potentially suicidal. All of them were referred by government agencies.
yeah,
All of them because they didn't fit well. Some of them by psychiatrists as well, where they were not, and psychologists, where they were not responding to drug therapies.
yeah.
So,
Watched something the other day where less than 85% of people will respond to any kind of drug therapy.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and that's because efficacy, a drug efficacy, only needs to be a small percentage
Hmm.
to prove that it works, like 20, 30% effective.
Yeah.
And it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Well, what if you started working with the mind models and you took a course or training on mind models that are 80% effective right out of the gate?
Yeah. Big
You know,
difference.
just think about it, because that's where I was testing. Everything had to work 80% of the time the first time. Now, the other thing here is I'm giving you things like effective versus ineffective, which is a mind model,
Yeah.
which causes people like this shirt I'm wearing. If
Mhm.
it's ineffective for me to change it, I can go change it.
Yeah.
But it's not me.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not changing me, I'm changing my shirt. So
Yeah.
think of your behaviors not as you, but as things you can change.
Hmm.
And the second you do that, you can try on different behaviors and
Hmm.
see what works for you.
For sure.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. And that comes back to you manage your life. You create your life. And I always was a very firm believer of that before I even met you, but you gave me the tools of how to do that. So,
And that's the problem, is that there's not a lot of places
yeah.
that give you the tools of how to do that.
Yeah.
People say, well, do what I do
Hmm.
because it worked for me.
Yeah.
Except that your brain and my brain
Yeah.
are wired differently when it comes to this kind of stuff. So we've got to be able to pivot and figure this stuff out very specifically.
For sure.
So, that's critical.
Hmm.
But we all share a thing called language.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I picked words that common meanings exist around.
Hmm.
So, like, if you think of things in terms of effective versus ineffective, if you think of, well, I'm wearing the wrong shirt,
Yeah.
who owns the wrong shirt wearing? I do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bad person because I didn't dress myself properly.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just ineffective.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you go, well, it's ineffective. Hey, I have another shirt.
Yeah.
I can go change.
Yeah.
No biggie.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, life is different because we change how we shift
Hmm.
ourselves effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a great place to kind of like simple and powerful place to end our podcast. And
Well, just before you do that, sorry, I have one last thing.
sounds
I
good.
wanted to give people sort of an escape plan.
Okay.
Okay, so if is that okay?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, great. So the escape plan is if you allow yourself to become aware, if you are questioning, getting curious about this and say, what might I do differently?
Hmm.
Or you can literally say, what am I aware of, and what did I notice about that awareness?
Yeah.
So if I actually am aware of something and I notice that awareness,
Yeah.
now I can start doing something and get a different perspective. So the first step is get aware.
Yeah.
The second step is get perspective
Hmm.
on things. Change that perspective. In
Yeah.
other words, separate it from everything all glommed together to what are you in control of?
Yeah.
Well, that's yourself.
Hmm.
What about others? Well, you can't control them. You may want to sometimes, but you can't. Like you can't. All
Yeah.
you can do is influence them.
Hmm.
So you've got others that you can influence, and you can influence the situation.
Yeah.
So it's always in terms of self, other, and situation.
Hmm.
But you can always control yourself. And most people don't feel like they have control anymore.
Exactly. Especially themselves, even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have control of yourself, then the situation and others feel like it's controlling you. But this is all about being able to shift yourself
Yeah.
to take back control of your life
Yeah.
and to own it for you.
Hmm.
And that enables you to get effective. And getting effective goes right back into the three E's: effective versus ineffective, external versus internal. And the third one is going to be evaluation versus judgment.
Hmm.
These are powerful, powerful mind models.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. And that way we get to be in control and shift our lives with little practice. Not a lot. It doesn't, everybody knows the meanings of those words, and we don't want to judge ourselves. So
Mhm.
we want to evaluate
Yeah.
and we want to test it out. And
Yeah.
I go, don't trust me. Test me.
Yeah.
Test these things out.
Yeah.
And they work.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Now
think
you can wrap up.
Yeah, I think you've given us some really powerful tools. I know in my personal life, in your personal life, they work. We've both worked with countless other people and seen them do wonders in their lives. And so I hope the listeners today try a couple, try them all, test them out as you challenged us, and see how they work for you. So thank you so much for your time and all that you've put into the mind models and helping other people.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching. Continue learning by clicking one of the videos in front of you. Don't forget to subscribe and join our community for deeper dives into mind model mastery secrets. Give a like and leave a comment as we would love to engage with you more.